Oh great, just what TF2 needs. More clankers. So this is kind of a quick and dirty video because this news just came straight the hell out of nowhere, but hey, that's Valve for you. On the TF2 website, Valve just released a blog post asking for workshop creators to submit new MvM maps and missions for a quote, much needed MvM update. Yeah, you're telling me. With a deadline of August 27th, so that the maps can be released in time for this year's Halloween update. Yes, MvM is actually getting an update, and Valve is doing the obvious thing that basically prints free money for them that they honestly should have done years ago by accepting community-made MvM maps. Now for most of us, that's it. We're actually getting community-made MvM missions officially added to the game, which is something that a lot of us have been asking for years now, so hell yeah, that's awesome. For everyone else, good luck in Hammer Editor. Try to come out of it on the other side alive. I love playing MvM, and some of the community created missions I've seen have been really interesting and creative, so I'm excited to see what we'll get. One of the biggest hurdles in getting people to actually participate in community-made MvM missions is the fact that, at the end of the day, MvM is a slot machine. It's the most fun slot machine I've ever played, but ultimately I, and most other frequent players, do still play it with two goals in mind. Having fun with my friends and talking about smegma and circumcision or whatever, and hopefully hitting it big with that nice, shiny golden goodness. Being showered in gold, if you will. So asking people to play a slot machine with no chance at all of winning anything except for a badge with no real-world monetary value is kind of a big ask, but now we don't need to worry about that. I see this as basically a huge win for everyone involved. We all get to gamble with new maps so we don't have to go through Rottenburg and Manhattan on an infinite loop anymore, and MvM map makers can beat the sunk cost fallacy allegations. Win-win. Now I'm sure some of you have a lot of questions, but if you don't, then either get voting, get hyped, or get hammer editoring, and I'll see you for the next one. But if you do have questions, then stick around and I'll do my best to answer them to your satisfaction, or blindly speculate and rile everyone up because it worked out so well last time. So, considering this is for the Halloween update, will all of the maps be Halloween themed? No, the blog post specifies this. They can be Halloween themed, but it's not necessary at all or even recommended. Though I wouldn't mind seeing a Wave 6662, Wave 121212. But this is very much so in line with what we've been getting for summer updates where it doesn't necessarily need to be summer themed. And kind of like what we used to get for Christmas updates. Mecha Engine was a Christmas update after all, and I don't really know what's so festive about robotic engineers or big rocks. Will the update contain other major changes to the base game of TF2, like balance changes? Almost certainly not. This seems to be primarily focused on MvM and Halloween. Nothing else is mentioned or even hinted at. I'd be pleasantly surprised if we did get anything else, but emphasis on the surprised part. Will Valve be adding previously made community MvM projects, like the many maps and missions made by Potato.tf? It's hard to say, but I think the unfortunate answer is that it's unlikely, since they're asking directly for new maps and missions. The time I've spent playing on Potato's unique missions was very fun, but I'm not sure if they'll make it into the game. But hopefully the map makers will be able to get something in. They certainly have the most experience, and maybe simply polishing existing maps in time for the deadline will do the trick. At least that's my hope. Will this update just be maps and missions, or will there be more to it? Like new australiums, new killstreak scenes and effects, or MvM specific balance changes that finally make Spy into a good class? Unfortunately, we don't know, which I know isn't a very satisfying answer, but it's the truth. Hell, in the worst case scenario, we won't even be getting a new tour out of it. Just new boot camp missions, and that would suck a lot for the people who don't play boot camp. Personally speaking, I think Valve would be fools to not include new australiums in an MvM update, especially after like 12 years. But I also think they'd be fools for not adding a Strange Dragon's Fury, and it's been almost 8 goddamn years we've been waiting on that. By the way, assuming that everyone gets 2, my picks would be Cleaver, Shortstop, Direct Hit, Market Gardener, Dragon's Fury, Flare Gun, Loose Cannon, Quickie Bomb Launcher, Robo Sandwich, Fist of Steel, Jag, Gunslinger, Crossbow, Uber Saw Classic, Kukri Revolver, Kunai, and for multi-classes the Shotgun and Pistol. You're more than welcome to disagree with me in the comments, except about the Shotgun, because come on, that one's a gimme. Of all the things that could be added on top of maps, I see australiums as being the most likely since, for one, it's one of this game's biggest moneymakers in terms of not only direct ticket sales, but also community market sales, and for another thing, it just involves swapping a few textures around on an already existing weapon model. It doesn't involve the creation of new in-house particle effects like killstreak effects would, or balance changes which Valve is very adverse to adding, unless it's for versus stacks and hail. and zombie infection. Some other minor things, I'm hoping that the new missions will get access to the kill streak kits and crafting components, because those are honestly a huge part of what makes Two Cities arguably still the best and most profitable MvM mission. Even if you don't get an australium, if you're lucky, you can still get a professional kill streak kit that's even more valuable than a good chunk of the australium lineup. It's the only reason I even have a professional killstreak minigun in the first place, because oh hell nah. Another thing is, I'm hoping that the tour, or tours we get, will be appropriately themed. That's probably not something anyone else is really considering, but with all of the currently existing MvM maps being made in-house by Valve, they were also made with a cohesive theme around each one. And with them now pulling from a bunch of workshop creators who probably aren't going to be working in tandem with one another, I can only hope that the end result will be properly themed. Speaking of workshop creators, with this update shipping on Halloween, I have to wonder if this is their answer to one of the biggest problems and criticisms that the Halloween updates have been facing, which is map bloat. It's gotten to a point where only the most dedicated and most unemployed of TF2 fans can even hope to get all their contracts done. So if adding new MvM maps instead of increasingly difficult to remember Scream Fortress maps is their solution, then I'll say it came a little bit late, but hey, hell of a lot better late than never. That's kind of the attitude I hold towards this game in general lately. If you're willing to accept better late than never, then honestly, I'd say this is feeling like a pretty damn good time to be a TF2 fan. Consider me, for the first time in years, actually pretty excited for a Halloween update. Okay, but that didn't count. It's not like I knew it would get in.